In Mud, two teenage boys encounter a fugitive and form a pact to help him evade the bounty hunters on his trail and reunite him with his true love.
We'll try getting this boat in the water. It's my best shot. I made a list of things we're gonna need.
You boys need to watch yourself. What Mud's into is something you don't want to be involved in.
I got a lot of folks looking for me.
Keep lying! You hear me, trash? Where is that?
He's not dangerous.
Sounds like a state troopers think different.
We're gonna pray for the death of the man who killed my son.
I was really looking forward to Mud because I am a huge fan of writer-director Jeff Nichols' previous film, Take Shelter, and so I was really curious to see what his next feature would be like because I thought that movie was crazy good, and I have to say, I am very, very happy that Jeff Nichols exists. He is alive, and he is making movies because Mud is fantastic. It really kind of reminded me why I love movies. It made me emotional, it made me think, and while I don't think it was a perfect movie, there are a couple of things I'll get to that were a little weird about it, I do think that it is a really, really solid film that makes me just excited for whatever else Jeff Nichols has up his sleeve in the future. But let's get our hands dirty with Mud and talk about the plot. See what I did there? It's a pun because it's called Mud. Talked about getting my hands dirty. I thought the story was very interesting, and I thought it was interesting because the beginning has kind of a mystery element to it, but once the mystery is kind of revealed to the kids and what is going on here, it's pretty straightforward. But I was still totally engaged, and I still was wondering what's going to happen next, where is this story going, even though there wasn't really a whole lot of mystery to it after a while. I do think the ending of the movie was a little bit off. There were some moments that seemed a bit abrupt and seemed to not really fit completely well with the rest of the movie, but I don't think they were bad. I actually like the scenes, but I just thought they felt a little bit off from the rest of it. I also love the fact that it felt very genuine and honest. None of it felt forced, felt very natural. That's also obviously in the directing and the acting, but as far as the script goes, I thought that there was a beautiful element to the story, a huge element to the story, of course. It's one of the major parts of it about love, and the confusion of love, and the difficulty of love, and it was just a lot of really interesting stuff that made me think a lot. And that, of course, is also due in part to the directing, so considering the fact that Jeff Nichols wrote and directed this film, he really nailed it. I am extremely, extremely excited about Jeff Nichols and just anything that he's got going on because aside from the fact that the writing was great, I thought that the story was interesting. The directing, it's a pretty long movie. I mean, it's not super, super long, but, 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think. It's definitely not a fast-paced movie, but I was still totally engaged, like I said, totally engrossed and wondering what was going to happen next. And so that is impressive in my opinion, when you can make a movie feel very powerful, and it was very similar in Take Shelter. It was not a fast-paced movie, but it felt very powerful, and I was totally into it through the whole thing. Like I said, I thought the movie felt very genuine, and that is obviously also due in part to the acting, so let's get to the acting, which I thought was amazing for the most part. I'll start off with Matthew McConaughey because he is on the poster, so why not? He was fantastic. I really, really love where Matthew McConaughey is going these days. I think that he is also nailing it. So you've got a bunch of people in this movie that are just nailing it. Jeff Nichols, Matthew McConaughey, it's awesome. But as great as he was, I actually think that he was outdone by the kids. Ty Sheridan and Jacob Laughlin I thought were fantastic. Specifically Ty Sheridan, I was really blown away. Their friendship was one of those genuine parts of the movie. It felt so real that I'm pretty sure they're just friends, these kids. They gotta be friends. If they just showed up for this movie and they just pretended to be friends, then I am extremely impressed because they were really, really good. Unfortunately, I think the weakest link in the cast is Reese Witherspoon. I didn't think she was bad, but maybe it's just because everyone else was so damn good that she wasn't really on their level, even the kids. But I'd also like to mention Michael Shannon, who has a small role. I love Michael Shannon, and I thought that for this small role, he did a good job. But that's all I can say about Mud without talking spoilers, so now I'm going to talk spoilers. If you have not seen Mud, please do not watch the rest of this review. After you've seen Mud, you can come back and see what I had to say, but for now, hopefully, if you're still watching, you have seen Mud. First off, I want to talk about the things that I thought were a little bit weird toward the end that didn't really seem to fit. First off, when he falls in with the snakes, obviously that was alluded to through the whole thing, so it's not like it came out of nowhere, but it just felt different than the rest of the movie, kind of, you know, racing him to the emergency room. That felt a tiny little bit cliche, but it was done well, so I wasn't complaining. The other thing is the shootout at the house at the end. That also kind of felt a little bit out of place. Once again, not complaining because I thought the scene was great. In fact, I jumped out of my seat. I really did jump out of my seat when that first gunshot went off. Holy shit. That was insane. I was really glad that he saw a girl at the end when he moved, and, you know, they kind of... I think it was a bit much that she waved. Maybe if he had just seen her, it would have been enough, but I was thinking that's how I want the movie to end. And, you know, I went a little bit more after that, but in general, I'm glad that happened because that's exactly what I wanted. And I have to say, as far as the love story goes, you know, as far as just so many different elements of love being explored in this movie, the fact that it can be confusing and difficult... What really stuck out to me, the scene that just... Well, I lost it. I couldn't help it. I teared up a bit. I'm not going to lie. Was when Reese Witherspoon was crying on the bed. Even though I didn't think she was the best in the movie or anything, that scene said so much to me because it's so true. You know, she was kind of holding it back and she was like, well, I understand. You know, I love him, but I get it. And then as soon as she's on her own... Done. I'm actually getting chills thinking about it right now. It was so good. Movie was very honest, very genuine, very heartfelt. And, you know, it could have been kind of corny, I think, some of the stuff like that, but it was done extremely well. Jeff Nichols, I love Jeff Nichols. And so, like I said, I was a huge fan of Take Shelter, big fan of Mud. Can't wait to see what he does next. But please let me know in the comments what you thought of Mud. Let me know if you like Jeff Nichols, if you've seen any of his previous work. Let me know what you thought of the storyline. Let me know what you thought of the acting. Oh my gosh, what did you think of the kids? What did you think of McConaughey? What did you think of Witherspoon? Once you've left me a comment on what you thought of Mud, please click over here to check out my review of Take Shelter as well as a few others. Click below to go to our Facebook and Twitter. Click the logo to subscribe for more reviews. And that's pretty much it.
Everything you told me was a lie!
It's a hell of a thing, ain't it? It's a hell of a thing.